It was a cold morning in New York, and the city streets were already bustling with people hurrying to their offices. Coffee cups in hand, lost in their own worlds. Inside one of the sleek glass towers, a billionaire entrepreneur was sitting in a large meeting room, surrounded by stacks of papers and folders. He had flown in for an international conference, and his schedule was packed. He was going over documents in a foreign language, trying to make sense of them, but the words seemed to blur together. And the clock was ticking. He rubbed his forehead and let out a sigh, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. At the same time, a young woman was walking down the corridor nearby. She worked as a freelance translator, taking jobs wherever she could find them. She had always been good with languages, and her talent had taken her through some difficult times. But she had never imagined meeting someone so powerful in the way that was about to happen. She was carrying her small bag, a notebook tucked under her arm, and she moved with a quiet confidence, though she knew the world outside her small apartment could be harsh. As she passed the tall glass doors of the conference room, she noticed the man inside. He looked stressed, surrounded by papers, and something about the situation called to her instincts. She hesitated for a moment, taking a deep breath, and then she walked in. The room was quiet, except for the sound of a ticking clock. The man looked up, startled to see someone approaching him. There was no assistant, no secretary, just her, standing there calm and self-assured. "Excuse me," she said softly, but with a firmness that demanded attention. "I can translate these documents for you. $500. For a moment he blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. The offer seemed almost absurd. $500? For a task that he assumed required much more skill and time? He let out a short laugh, leaning back in his chair. He was used to deals worth millions, not this kind of bold proposition from a stranger. "Are you serious?" he asked, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Do you know who you are talking to?" She nodded, her eyes steady. "I know exactly who you are, and I know what needs to be done. I can do this." There was something about her that made him pause. Most people in his world would either grovel, try to impress him, or quietly walk away. But she did none of that. She was direct, professional, and fearless in a way that caught him off guard. He studied her for a moment, noticing the determination in her eyes and the quiet confidence in her posture. It was unusual, rare even, and it made him curious. "All right," he said finally, still not fully convinced. "Let's see what you can do. Translate this section first. It is critical for a meeting later today." She took the folder from him, flipping through the pages quickly, her eyes scanning the foreign text. She could see immediately that this wasn't just a matter of words. It was about context, nuance, and meaning. A wrong interpretation could have serious consequences, and she knew she had to get it right. She found a quiet corner of the room and began working, her pen moving steadily across her notebook as she translated the text with care. The minutes passed quickly. The man watched her from across the room, noting her focus and precision. She didn't rush, but she didn't waste a moment either. Each word she translated seemed to make the document clearer, sharper, and more understandable. He had expected something rough, something basic. Instead, what he saw was a translation that not only conveyed the original meaning, but also made insights he hadn't noticed clear. When she finished, she handed him the notebook. He opened it, scanning the pages. His eyes widened slightly. Every word was accurate. Every nuance was captured. He could see points he had missed, and the clarity made him realize that he could make more informed decisions now. He looked up at her, a mix of surprise and respect on his face. "This is excellent," he said, almost to himself. "Better than I expected?" She smiled faintly, not arrogant but quietly proud. "I told you I could do it." He leaned back, running a hand through his hair. There was a moment of silence, both of them aware of the unusual circumstances. A young translator, bold enough to approach a billionaire directly, had just delivered something that exceeded expectations. He felt a mixture of curiosity and intrigue, wondering how she had developed such skill and confidence at such a young age. Most people in her position would never dare to offer a fixed price, let alone deliver such quality work under pressure. You know, he said after a pause, I almost didn't take you seriously. I thought it was a joke, but you've proven me wrong. She nodded, understanding the weight of his words. In her world, proving oneself was everything, and moments like this could change the course of a career. She had always believed that skill and determination mattered more than background or circumstance. And now she had a living example of that truth standing before her. He leaned forward, curiosity replacing amusement. Tell me about yourself. How did you get so good at this? She shrugged lightly, modest but honest. I've always loved languages. I've worked hard, taken every opportunity I could, and learned from experience. I've translated everything from business documents to literature. I guess I just never stopped learning. There was a sincerity in her voice that resonated with him. In his world, sincerity was rare. Most people were motivated by ambition or greed, but she spoke with honesty and quiet confidence, and it made him take notice. He could see that her skills were not just a product of talent, they were the result of persistence, dedication, and a real passion for her work. The room felt different now, as if the initial barrier between them had been replaced by mutual respect. He was a billionaire, used to people trying to impress or manipulate him. She was a translator, used to being overlooked. Yet, in that moment, their roles felt equal. It was a meeting of skill and intellect, not money and status. As he gathered the documents, he realized that he would need her help again. Not just for this project, but for others that required the same precision and insight. He didn't know it yet, but this small encounter would be the beginning of something significant. The boldness of a simple offer, $500, had opened a door, one that could change both of their lives. She left the room quietly, her work done, not yet aware of how much this moment would mean. He watched her go, thinking about the courage it took to speak up, the skill it took to deliver, and the value of recognizing talent when it appeared. Even in the most unexpected places, he knew he had underestimated her. But now he could see the truth. Some opportunities come in the most surprising forms, and sometimes a simple, bold offer is all it takes to make a powerful connection. The city outside continued its rush, oblivious to the quiet triumph inside the glass tower. For the billionaire, it was a reminder that talent and determination could be found in the most unexpected people. For the translator, it was a first step into a world that had seemed distant and unreachable. A world where skill and courage could open doors that money alone could not. And for both of them, it was the start of a story neither could have predicted. Born from a simple statement and a willingness to take a chance. After the initial translation, the billionaire felt a mix of curiosity and respect for the young translator. He had seen her work, and it had surpassed anything he had expected. Her skill, patience, and precision had impressed him deeply. He realized that her talent was rare, and that he needed someone like her for the projects he had lined up, projects that involved negotiations and documents that could make or break millions. A few days later, he invited her back to his office. The building was quieter now, away from the crowd of the international conference. She stepped in, slightly nervous but determined. She had delivered before, but this time the stakes were higher. He greeted her with a nod, a small smile breaking through his usual stoic demeanor. I have a document that is far more complicated than the last, he said. It is for an international deal, and it must be perfect. Can you handle it? She looked at the folder he handed her. The pages were filled with technical jargon, business strategies, and legal language. It was intimidating, but she didn't let it show. She had faced challenging translations before, and she knew how to approach them. She nodded confidently. I can do it. He leaned back, still watching her carefully. This time, he didn't offer a fixed price. He simply wanted to see if she could rise to the challenge. She went to a quiet corner of his office, spread the documents out, and began reading. She read carefully, underlining sections that needed special attention, taking notes in her notebook and thinking about how best to translate the meaning accurately. Each word mattered, and she knew that any mistake could have serious consequences. Hours passed. The billionaire occasionally glanced over at her, noting her focus and determination. She didn't rush, But she didn't waste a second either. Every line she translated was precise, capturing not only the meaning, but also the intent behind the words. When she found complex phrases, she carefully considered the cultural context, ensuring that the translation would make sense in a business setting and convey the proper tone. During her work, the young translator noticed that some of the text contained subtle implications about potential risks and opportunities. She marked them clearly, adding her own insights in a separate section. These notes were not just translations. They were suggestions that could help the billionaire understand the document more deeply. It was unusual for someone in her position to take such initiative, but she had learned that going the extra mile was often the difference between being noticed and being forgotten. When she finished, she returned the completed work to him. He scanned the pages quickly, expecting a good translation, but what he found was far more than that. Her notes highlighted points he hadn't considered, potential weaknesses in the contract, and strategies that could improve the outcome. He leaned back, astonished. She hadn't just translated the document. She had added value, showing a depth of understanding that few professionals could match. "This is remarkable," he said, his voice low with genuine admiration. "I did not expect this level of insight." She smiled faintly. "I wanted to make sure you had all the information you needed. It is not just about translating words. It is about understanding the meaning behind them." He nodded slowly, impressed by her maturity and professionalism. He realized that she was more than just a translator. She was someone who could think critically, someone who could help him navigate complex situations. Her ability to see beyond the words and understand the broader implications was rare and valuable. Over the next few weeks, he started involving her in more projects. Each time, the complexity increased, and each time, she delivered beyond expectations. She began translating documents that were confidential, sensitive, and high stakes. The billionaire observed her closely, noting her ability to remain calm under pressure, her dedication to accuracy, and her capacity to provide thoughtful insights. Their working relationship grew stronger. He began to trust her judgment, asking her opinion on certain aspects of the documents, and even seeking her advice on strategies. She was careful, always respectful, but her confidence and intelligence were becoming apparent. He realized that her value went far beyond the initial translation for $500. She was becoming an indispensable part of his work, someone he could rely on when the stakes were high. The young translator faced her own challenges. Working for someone so powerful was intimidating, and there were moments of doubt. Some of his team members were skeptical of her abilities, treating her with subtle condescension. They questioned why she had been given such important tasks, assuming that her position was temporary or that she was lucky. But she stayed focused, letting her work speak for itself. Her results were undeniable, and slowly, the skepticism faded. One day, a particularly urgent project came in. A critical contract needed translation and review before a meeting that could decide the future of a major deal. The deadline was tight, and the pressure was immense. She set to work immediately, organizing her notes, reviewing the document carefully, and making sure every detail was accurate. She worked late into the night, her dedication unwavering. The billionaire, seeing her commitment, realized that she had a rare combination of talent and determination that could not be measured by experience alone. When she completed the project, he reviewed it thoroughly. He found that she had not only translated the document flawlessly, but it also identified areas where the agreement could be improved. Her insights were practical, actionable, and precise. He felt a deep sense of respect for her. She had shown that she was not just competent, but exceptional. The day after the deal, the billionaire called a small meeting with his core team. He praised the translation and highlighted the value she had brought to the project. Some team members were surprised, but they could not argue with the results. She had proven herself in a way that was visible and undeniable. Her reputation grew, not just with him, but within the organization. People began to see her not as an outsider, but as someone whose skills and judgment could influence important decisions. Despite the praise and recognition, she remained humble. She understood that her work was about more than accolades. It's about making a real difference and helping others achieve their goals. Her dedication skill, and willingness to take responsibility for critical tasks had earned her a place at the table, and she continued to work diligently, never taking her position for granted. The billionaire, for his part, began to rely on her more and more. He realized that he had underestimated her at first, assuming that a simple offer of $500 could not compare to the importance of his work. But she had proven him wrong time and time again. Her talent, insight, and professionalism had earned his trust, and he knew that she would be a key part of his team for the projects that lay ahead. Through all this, their relationship remained professional but respectful. There was no need for grandeur or pretense. She was valued for her abilities, and he appreciated her honesty, dedication, and intelligence. In a world where many people sought favor and recognition, she stood out for her work, her courage, and her unwavering focus on doing the best job possible. By the end of this period, the young translator had not only secured her place as a trusted professional, but had also begun to understand the impact of her work on a larger scale. She realized that her skills could open doors that she had only dreamed of. She felt a growing confidence in her ability to take on even greater challenges. The initial offer of $500 seemed small in retrospect, a starting point that had led to opportunities far beyond what she had imagined. For the billionaire, the experience had been eye-opening. He had encountered many talented people in his career, but few had approached him with the combination of courage, skill, and clarity that she had shown. Her work had proven its value in tangible ways, and he began to see her not just as a translator, but as a vital contributor to his success. Their collaboration was becoming something rare, a partnership built on trust, respect, and shared commitment to excellence. As she left his office that day, carrying the next set of documents for review, she felt a sense of accomplishment and anticipation. The path ahead was still challenging, but she knew that her talent, determination, and willingness to take initiative could lead her to remarkable opportunities. She had stepped into a world that had seemed distant and intimidating, and she was beginning to thrive, proving to herself and to the billionaire that skill, courage, and dedication could truly make a difference. As weeks turned into months, the young translator became more than just someone who translated documents. She was now a key figure in the billionaire's daily work. Trusted to handle critical communications and complex negotiations, every assignment she received was more demanding than the last, yet she never faltered. Her ability to stay calm, focused, and precise under pressure was something he came to rely on deeply. It was during one particularly challenging project that their professional relationship began to take on new dimensions. A high-stakes international contract had been presented to the billionaire, one that involved multiple countries and delicate negotiations. The document was massive, filled with legal jargon, technical terms, and subtle clauses that could easily be misunderstood if translated poorly. One wrong interpretation could cost millions, if not more. The billionaire handed the folder to her personally. "This needs your attention immediately. The deadline is tight, and every word matters." She took a deep breath and nodded. She understood the pressure, but she also understood that this was an opportunity to prove herself further. She found a quiet corner of his office and began working. Her approach was methodical. She read the entire document first, identifying areas that required special attention, and then started translating section by section. Whenever she encountered phrases that were ambiguous or culturally nuanced, she paused. Thinking carefully about how best to convey the meaning without losing context or tone, hours passed, and the office became quiet. The billionaire watched from a distance, occasionally glancing at her notes and translations. He was fascinated by the way she approached the work not just as a translator, but as someone who understood the implications behind the words. She was not merely converting language. She was interpreting intent, reading between the lines, offering insights that even seasoned professionals might overlook. Her dedication was evident. She worked late into the night, sometimes taking short breaks only to stretch and refocus. She had a small cup of coffee nearby, but her energy came mainly from her determination to do the job perfectly. She knew that this project could shape the outcome of a significant international deal. and she felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. When she finished, she handed the completed translation to the billionaire. He reviewed it carefully, line by line. His eyes widened as he read through her work. She had not only translated the document accurately, but had also highlighted potential issues, suggested clarifications, and offered insights that could strengthen their position in the negotiations. He leaned back in his chair, amazed at the depth and precision of her work. "This is extraordinary," he said quietly. "You've gone beyond what I expected," she smiled, modest but proud. "I wanted to make sure every detail was clear and accurate. I know how important this is." From that moment, their professional relationship began to evolve. He started consulting her not just on translations, but on interpretations of documents, contracts, and communications. He valued her perspective, realizing that she had a unique ability to understand both language and intent, something few professionals could combine so effectively. The young translator, for her part, felt a growing sense of responsibility. She was no longer just completing tasks. She was influencing outcomes, helping guide decisions that could have wide-ranging impacts. It was both exhilarating and daunting, but she thrived under the challenge. Her focus, dedication, and willingness to take initiative set her apart from others in the organization. And even some of the billionaire's senior staff began to recognize her value. Despite her success, she encountered subtle challenges. Some of the billionaire's team members were skeptical of her abilities, questioning why someone so young and relatively new had been given such critical responsibilities. They made small comments, questioned her judgments, and sometimes doubted her insight. But she never let this affect her work. Instead, she allowed her results to speak for themselves, proving again and again that her contributions were not just competent, they were exceptional. One day, a complex legal clause in a contract required immediate attention. The team was debating interpretations, unsure of the best approach. She reviewed the clause carefully, considered the implications, and offered a solution that clarified the language while protecting the billionaire's interests. Her suggestion was adopted, and the deal moved forward without complications. This moment marked a turning point. The team began to see her not as an outsider, but as a vital contributor, whose expertise could not be ignored. Her work was not without personal challenges. The long hours, high stakes, and constant pressure tested her patience and resilience. She often had to balance her professional responsibilities with her personal life, making sacrifices along the way. Yet she remained steadfast, driven by a sense of purpose and a desire to excel. Her determination inspired respect, even among those who initially doubted her. During this time, the billionaire began to rely on her more than he had ever anticipated. He would ask for her opinion on complex matters, seek her insight into ambiguous communications, and trust her judgment in ways he rarely extended to anyone else. Their interactions were professional, but a deep mutual respect had developed. He recognized her intelligence, diligence, and integrity, while she respected his experience, decisiveness, and willingness to value talent over hierarchy. As projects grew more complex, she continued to demonstrate her exceptional abilities. She learned to navigate sensitive information, anticipate potential issues, communicate effectively with multiple parties. Each successful project reinforced her confidence and her reputation. Solidifying her position as an indispensable member of his team, the billionaire, in turn, reflected on the initial moment when she had offered her services for $500. What had seemed like a small, almost audacious proposition had turned into a transformative partnership. He realized that true talent and determination were often found in unexpected places, and that sometimes taking a chance on someone who shows courage and skill can lead to remarkable results. Their collaboration became a model of efficiency, trust, and respect. She was not just translating words. She was helping shape decisions, guiding negotiations, and providing insights that could influence outcomes. Each project she completed reinforced the value of recognizing talent and the importance of trusting those who demonstrate capability and integrity. Through all this, she maintained her humility. She understood that her success was not only about talent, but about responsibility. diligence, and the willingness to rise to the challenge. She continued to approach each task with care, precision, and focus, ensuring that her work met the highest standards. As the months passed, both of them recognized the extraordinary nature of their professional relationship. It was rare for someone in her position to have such influence and responsibility, and rare for someone of his status to place such trust in someone without an extensive track record. Yet together, they had created a dynamic based on skill, respect, and mutual understanding. The young translator had proven that courage, its expertise, and dedication could overcome doubt and skepticism. She had transformed from a freelance translator into a trusted advisor, someone whose judgment and insight mattered deeply. For the billionaire, she had become not just a translator, but a partner in navigating complex international business, someone whose contributions were essential to his success. The experience taught them both valuable lessons. She learned that boldness, skill, and determination could open doors to opportunities she had never imagined. He learned that true talent is often found in those who approach challenges with honesty, focus, and a willingness to take initiative. Together, they were navigating a path that neither had anticipated, discovering the power of trust, respect, and collaboration in achieving extraordinary results. As she left his office that evening, she felt a mixture of satisfaction and anticipation. She had proven herself once again, but she knew that more challenges lay ahead. Her journey was far from over. The lessons she had learned would guide her as she continued to grow in skill, confidence, and influence. For both of them, the future held promise, built on the foundation of trust, respect, and the remarkable outcomes of their shared efforts. The young translator had been working with the esteemed billionaire for several months now, and her reputation was growing not only with him but also within his organization. She had proven her ability to handle critical documents with precision, provide insightful interpretations, and offer practical advice that could influence major decisions. Her dedication and skill were becoming widely recognized. People began to see her in a new light. One morning, the billionaire called her into a small boardroom. The room was filled with senior executives, all waiting to discuss an important international partnership. As she entered, she felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness. She had been part of projects like this before, but this meeting was different. He had requested her presence specifically to present her insights and translations to the team. "Please sit down," he said, gesturing to a chair. "I want you to walk everyone through your analysis of the contract." She nodded, taking a deep breath. She had prepared thoroughly, reviewing the key points, potential risks, and opportunities in the agreement. She knew the importance of clarity and accuracy, and she focused on presenting her findings in a way that everyone could understand. As she spoke, she explained not only the translation, but also the reasoning behind her interpretations, highlighting subtle nuances and potential consequences that might otherwise be overlooked. The executives listened attentively, impressed by her ability to communicate complex information clearly and confidently. Some nodded in agreement with her recommendations, while others asked questions, which she answered thoughtfully and precisely. It was clear that her work had added significant value, and even those who had doubted her abilities could not ignore her competence. The billionaire watched with quiet satisfaction. He had known her talent from the beginning, but seeing her recognized by others in his organization brought him a sense of pride. He realized that she had become an essential part of his team, someone who could be trusted with sensitive and high-stakes tasks. Her work was not just about translation. It was about insight, analysis, and clarity. After the meeting, one of the senior executives approached her. "I have to say, I didn't expect such thorough and precise work from someone so young," he admitted. "You've really impressed all of us." She smiled politely. "Thank you. I just try to do my best and make sure everything is accurate and clear." It was moments like this that made her realize the impact of her work. She had started as a freelance translator, offering her services boldly for $500. And now she was being acknowledged by some of the most experienced professionals in the industry. Her confidence grew, but she remained grounded, knowing that every project required the same level of focus and dedication. As her reputation grew, so did the opportunities. The billionaire began involving her in more high-profile projects, including negotiations that spanned multiple countries and involved large financial stakes. She was responsible for translating and interpreting complex documents, preparing summaries, and providing strategic insights that could influence decisions at the highest levels. Her role had expanded far beyond what she had initially imagined. Despite her growing success, she continued to face challenges. The work was demanding, with long hours and tight deadlines. There were moments when she questioned whether she could keep up, especially when the projects became more complex and the stakes higher. But she reminded herself of why she had started this journey in the first place: a passion for languages, a commitment to excellence, and a desire to prove that skill and determination mattered more than circumstance. 1. A particularly challenging project involved an international deal that required careful negotiation. The documents were intricate, filled with legal language and cultural nuances that could easily be misunderstood. She worked tirelessly, translating every line, providing context, and offering suggestions to clarify ambiguous points. Her attention to detail and thoughtful insights helped the billionaire navigate the negotiation with confidence. When the deal was successfully concluded, the billionaire made a point of acknowledging her contribution. In a small team meeting, he praised her work publicly, highlighting the accuracy of her translations and the value of her insights. Some team members were surprised by the level of recognition she received, but they could not dispute the results. Her work had made a tangible difference, and it was being recognized where it mattered most. The young translator felt a sense of pride and accomplishment, but she also remained humble. She understood that recognition was a reflection of consistent effort, dedication, and the willingness to go beyond the basic requirements of a job. She continued to focus on her work, knowing that every project required the same commitment to accuracy and excellence. Her growing recognition also brought new opportunities outside the billionaire's organization. Other clients began seeking her expertise, impressed by her ability to handle complex translations and provide valuable insights. She received offers for freelance projects, consulting opportunities, and collaborations that could further enhance her skills and career. Yet she remained loyal to the billionaire, appreciating the trust and respect he had shown her. Through this period, her relationship with the billionaire evolved into one of mutual respect and collaboration. He relied on her not just for translations, but for her judgment, perspective, and ability to analyze complex information. She, in turn, trusted his guidance, learning from his experience and decision-making process. Their partnership became a model of how skill, trust, and professionalism could create remarkable results. The turning point came when she was asked to lead a critical project independently. She was responsible for translating and interpreting documents that would influence a major strategic decision. It was a moment of both challenge and opportunity. She approached the task with her usual focus and diligence, ensuring that every detail was accurate and every nuance understood. She prepared summaries, highlighted potential risks, and provided actionable recommendations. When she presented her findings, the billionaire and his team were impressed by the depth and clarity of her work. Her insights helped them make informed decisions, avoiding potential pitfalls and identifying opportunities that had been overlooked. It was clear that her contributions were not just valuable, but essential to the success of the project. The experience solidified her position as a trusted professional. She had demonstrated that she could handle high-pressure situations, provide strategic insights, and influence outcomes in meaningful ways. The recognition she received was not about accolades or titles. It was about the tangible impact of her work and the respect she had earned through consistent excellence. As the weeks went by, she continued to build on this momentum. Her reputation as a skilled, reliable, an insightful translator and advisor grew both within the billionaire's organization and beyond. She remained humble, focused on her work, and committed to maintaining the high standards she had set for herself. Her journey had come a long way from the initial offer of $500, a bold step that had opened the door to opportunities she had never imagined. For the billionaire, her recognition was a reminder of the importance of talent, courage, and dedication. He had taken a chance on someone he had initially underestimated, and she had proven her worth in ways that exceeded his expectations. He valued her not just for her skills, but for her integrity, focus, and the unique perspective she brought to complex challenges. Together, they had created a dynamic that was rare and powerful. Her work was now integral to his decision-making process. Their collaboration demonstrated the extraordinary results that could be achieved when talent, trust, and respect were combined. The young translator had become more than a professional asset. She was a key contributor whose insights and judgment were essential to success as she left the office that day. Carrying the next set of documents for review, she felt a sense of fulfillment and anticipation. She had earned recognition, respect, and trust, but she also knew that the journey was ongoing. Each new project, each new challenge, was an opportunity to learn, grow, and continue proving her capabilities. The experience had taught her that boldness, skill, and dedication could open doors to remarkable opportunities. And she was ready to step through each one with confidence and determination. The young translator had come a long way since. The first day she had offered her services for $500. Over time, she had proven herself invaluable, handling high-stakes documents, offering insights that influenced major decisions, and earning the respect and trust of the billionaire and his team. But the next project would test her in ways she had never faced before. A massive international deal was on the table. The documents were complex, stretching over hundreds of pages, filled with intricate legal language, financial projections, and subtle clauses that could easily be misinterpreted. Every decision made based on these translations could affect millions of dollars and the direction of a major company. The billionaire knew that the success of this deal depended in large part on her abilities. He handed her the first folder, its expression serious. "This is the most important translation I've asked of you. The timeline is tight, and accuracy is critical. I trust you completely," she nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility but also a quiet determination. She had faced pressure before, and she had learned to focus on the work rather than the stakes. She opened the folder and began reading, her eyes scanning every line carefully. She noted areas that required clarification, sections that could be interpreted in multiple ways, and points that could present potential risks. Her approach was meticulous. She didn't just translate words. She analyzed meaning, context, and potential implications. She cross-checked financial terms, consulted reference materials, and considered cultural nuances that could affect interpretation. Her notebook filled quickly with observations, clarifications, and suggestions. She was working not only as a translator, but as a strategist, anticipating questions and preparing answers before they arose. As the hours passed, the billionaire checked in periodically. He saw her focus, her diligence, and her unwavering attention to detail. He had come to rely on her judgment and knew that she could handle even the most complex tasks. Her calm determination under pressure was a quality he admired, and he knew that she would deliver work of exceptional quality late into the night. She completed the translation for the first section. She reviewed it carefully, ensuring that every word, every nuance, was captured accurately. She also included her notes on potential issues, alternative interpretations, and suggestions for phrasing that could clarify intentions and prevent misunderstandings. When she handed it over, the billionaire reviewed it line by line, his eyes scanning the document with careful attention as he read. He realized just how significant her contribution was. Her translation was flawless, capturing not only the meaning, but also the subtle implications that could affect negotiations. Her insights were precise, practical, and actionable. He looked up at her, a mixture of surprise and respect in his eyes. She had not only met his expectations, but exceeded them in ways he had not imagined. "This is incredible," he said quietly. "Your work has made a huge difference." She smiled, a mix of pride and humility. "I just wanted to make sure everything was clear and accurate. I know how important this is." The following days were intense. The documents kept coming, each section more complex than the last. She worked tirelessly, often staying late into the night, reviewing and refining her translations, ensuring every detail was perfect. She coordinated with the billionaire and his team, answering questions, clarifying points, and providing insights that helped guide decisions. Her contributions were not just appreciated, they were essential to the progress of the deal. As the final sections were completed, the billionaire called a meeting with all involved parties. He wanted to discuss the deal in detail and ensure that everyone understood the implications. The young translator was asked to present her analysis and clarify critical points. She stood confidently in front of the group, presenting her findings clearly and concisely, explaining the nuances and potential risks, and offering practical suggestions. Her work was respected and valued by everyone in the room. The negotiations moved forward. Guided by the clarity and precision she had provided, the deal, once uncertain and complex, began to take shape. Her translations and insights helped prevent misunderstandings, address potential issues before they arose, and ensure that the terms were favorable and clearly defined. Each decision was made with confidence, knowing that her work had eliminated ambiguities and provided a solid foundation for action. Finally, the day came when the deal was finalized. The documents were signed and the agreement was secured. The billionaire called a small meeting to acknowledge the contributions that had made the success possible. He turned to her, his expression one of genuine appreciation. "Have to say," he began, "when you first offered to translate documents for $500. I thought it was a bold but small proposal. I had no idea that your work would have such a huge impact. You have proven yourself invaluable. Your translations, insights, and dedication have made a real difference." The team applauded, some smiling in surprise at the acknowledgement. She felt a rush of pride, not just for herself, but for the work she had accomplished. The recognition was more than validation. It was a reflection of the trust, respect, and results she had earned through consistent excellence. Despite the praise, she remained humble. She understood that her success was built on hard work, attention to detail, and a willingness to rise to the challenge. She had proven that skill, determination, and courage could open doors to opportunities that money alone could not create. Her journey, which had started with a bold offer and a simple act of confidence, had led to a role that was both challenging and deeply rewarding. The billionaire, reflecting on the experience, realized that talent often appears in unexpected ways. He had taken a chance on someone without assuming she would succeed, and she had exceeded every expectation. Her work had not only secured a major deal, but it also demonstrated the value of recognizing and trusting capable individuals, regardless of their background or initial position. In the weeks that followed, the young translator continued to work on important projects. But now, with a new level of confidence and recognition, she was trusted to handle high-pressure assignments, contribute insights, and guide decisions. Her role had evolved from a translator to a key advisor, someone whose judgment and expertise were respected and sought after. For her, the experience was transformative. She had learned that boldness, dedication, and the willingness to take initiative could lead to opportunities that might otherwise seem out of reach. She had proven that skill and integrity were more powerful than assumptions or initial impressions. The journey had taught her resilience, the importance of clarity, and the value of earning trust through consistent performance. For the billionaire, the story was a reminder that sometimes the most valuable contributions come from those who are underestimated. He had been willing to take a chance, and it had paid off in ways he had never expected. He now had a trusted professional whose insight and dedication were instrumental in achieving critical successes. Their collaboration continued, marked by mutual respect, trust, and the understanding that great outcomes often emerge when talent is recognized, nurtured, and given the space to excel. The young translator had shown that courage, skill, and determination could change the trajectory of her career. And the billionaire had learned the importance of valuing talent in unexpected places. The story ended with a quiet acknowledgement of what had been accomplished. A simple offer, a bold step, and a commitment to excellence had led to extraordinary results. Both had gained from the experience, she in recognition, skill, and opportunity, and he in trust, insight, and success. Together, they had demonstrated that when talent meets opportunity, the results can be remarkable, and that sometimes a small act of confidence can lead to a journey that changes everything. Months after the major deal had been successfully completed, the young translator found herself taking on even more challenging responsibilities. Her role had expanded beyond translating documents. She was now trusted to provide strategic insight, review high-level communications, and support decisions that affected the company's direction on an international scale. Each day presented new opportunities and pressures, but she met them with the same determination and focus that had defined her work from the beginning. One morning, she was called to the Billionaire's office for a confidential project. The documents were dense and filled with complex financial and legal terminology. The stakes were higher than ever, as this project involved negotiations with multiple international partners, each with different priorities and expectations. The billionaire handed her the files, his expression serious yet trusting. "This is critical," he said. "We need your translation and your insights. Accuracy and clarity are essential." "I am counting on you," she nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also a quiet confidence. She had faced difficult projects before and had learned how to manage pressure, prioritize tasks, and maintain focus. She opened the first folder and began reading, analyzing each sentence, identifying key points, and noting potential risks in areas that could be misinterpreted. Her approach was methodical. She divided the work into sections, ensuring each part was carefully translated and cross-checked for accuracy. She added notes where clarification might be needed and highlighted opportunities, where subtle changes could improve understanding or protect the company's interests. Her work was precise and thoughtful, reflecting not just her translation skills, but her understanding of the broader implications of the project as she worked. The billionaire occasionally checked in, asking questions and seeking her perspective on complex passages. He valued her judgment and trusted her to provide honest, clear advice. She responded with detailed explanations, considering both the literal meaning of the words and the underlying context. Her insights helped guide the planning of negotiations and the preparation of responses to potential challenges late into the evening. She completed the first round of translation and analysis. She reviewed everything carefully, ensuring consistency and accuracy, and prepared a summary of her key findings. When she presented it to the billionaire, he studied the documents and notes. Impressed by the thoroughness and clarity of her work, "You've done it again," he said quietly, a mixture of respect and amazement in his voice. "Your work is invaluable. This clarity will make a huge difference in how we approach the negotiations." She smiled, feeling both satisfaction and focus. She knew that the project was far from over, and that her ongoing diligence would be essential to its success. The following days were filled with intense work, translating additional documents, reviewing correspondence from international partners, and preparing clear summaries and recommendations for the EHHL. Aaron and his team. Her contributions were noticed beyond the immediate team. Executives from different departments began seeking her insights, recognizing that her translations were not only accurate, but also practical and actionable. Her reputation as a skilled, reliable, and insightful professional continued to grow, and she began to influence decisions at levels she had never imagined. When she first walked into the billionaire's office with a bold offer, during one particularly challenging phase, a critical communication from an international partner arrived unexpectedly. The message contained subtle language that could easily be misunderstood, potentially creating confusion or conflict. She analyzed it carefully, identifying the key points and potential pitfalls. She prepared a clear, precise translation and included a detailed explanation of the nuances. Along with suggestions for how to respond diplomatically and effectively, the billionaire reviewed her work and nodded. "This is exactly what we needed. You've anticipated the issues and provided solutions before they became problems. I don't know what we would do without you." Her confidence grew, but she remained humble, understanding that success was the result of focus, careful work, and persistence. She also realized that her role had evolved from a translator to a trusted advisor, someone whose judgment and insight were critical to decision-making. The project progressed, and her continued excellence helped the billionaire navigate complex negotiations successfully. Each translation, summary, and recommendation she provided allowed the team to act with confidence, prevent misunderstandings, and take advantage of opportunities. Her work was not just accurate, it was strategic and influential. Outside of her professional achievements, she also began mentoring a small group of junior translators. She shared her approach to careful analysis, attention to detail, and understanding context. She emphasized the importance of clarity, thoroughness, and integrity. Watching them grow under her guidance gave her a sense of fulfillment and reminded her of how far she had come from the early days of freelance work. One afternoon, after another successful negotiation, the billionaire called her into his office. He wanted to discuss a future initiative that could expand the company's international presence. He explained the vision and asked for her input, knowing that her perspective would be invaluable. She listened carefully, analyzed the documents, and provided thoughtful feedback, highlighting opportunities, risks, and practical steps for implementation. Her insights were considered seriously, and her recommendations shaped the planning and strategy of the initiative. She realized that her career had transformed completely. What had begun as a simple offer of $500 to translate documents had become a journey that led her to a position of influence and responsibility. She had proven that courage, skill, and dedication could open doors that might have seemed impossible. As the weeks passed, her confidence and experience continued to grow. She was recognized not only for her professional contributions, but also for her leadership qualities, her ability to mentor others, and her commitment to excellence. Her story became an inspiration to others who were starting their careers, showing that talent combined with perseverance could overcome obstacles and create remarkable opportunities. For the billionaire, the journey had been equally revealing. He had learned the value of recognizing talent and giving people the opportunity to demonstrate their abilities.